Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears, your home of unfinished projects. We're back here in my garage, and as you can see, the Miata is broken again. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. I'm not going to go into what exactly went wrong with this Miata because I am waiting on parts, and I'm going to save that for another video. Off to my right here, we've got my Prelude, and I'm looking forward to addressing an issue with a battery drain. I have an idea, I have the parts, I just have not had the time. I cannot wait to do this and show you guys my process here because I'm really hoping that I solve this problem with my battery draining. Until then, I've got to keep plugging this thing into the battery tender. Lastly, we have my rental property. I have ordered windows that arrive at the end of March. Cost me about $2,600. I finished up the pathway, and we're gonna go take a look at that in just a minute. I've also started on another pathway, sort of pathway, on the south side. We're gonna look at that as well. And then we're gonna talk about some of the things I'm gonna be doing to both my rental and to my house. So let's go take a look. It is a quiet Sunday morning here at my house and at my rental. And I am right back to work. So down here in front of the crawl space, I filled it in with sand. I figured that if I'm going underneath the house, I didn't want to cut up my hands and knees trying to get out of this place. So I just poured some of the landscaping sand that I had. I think I overdid it a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. Same thing over here. I could have and I should have poured some aggregate rock in before I poured the sand, but I just finished off the bag and decided to go with aggregate between the recycled concrete. And I have filled recycled concrete and aggregate all the way up to the back of the house. Next, I'm going to harvest some dirt from out back and fill it in a little bit with dirt and then finish it off with sand. I've got landscaping fabric underneath all of this. I decided to pull up what I had over there, lay down landscaping fabric all the way across so that I don't get a bunch of weeds. Over here in the wasteland, I am picking away at Dirt Mountain and filtering out rocks. Just like I described in my last video, here's my little contraption for filtering. It's literally just a leftover screen that I'd used on the side of my trailer and some scrap wood. And so I dig it out, I pour a shovelful on top of the filter, and then I just, boom, pour it right off. And that's how I get at least the baseline for the dirt, and then I can finish it up with landscaping sand later on. Well, I think I harvested a little bit more dirt than I needed because this filled in pretty good. I suspect that I am going to still use a little bit more sand than I anticipated because as this compacts, it's going to really start to drop in between the aggregate that I poured in between the concrete slabs. But overall, yes, you do have to watch your step, but you're not going to break your neck. It's perfectly serviceable. If you're painting the house or something, you can just get a ladder up there. Again, you do have to be aware. You can't just plop it down and throw it up there. But this is fine for a service access. And there we have it. It's not pretty. It's not perfect, but it is perfectly fine, is what it is. The stones that were rocking back and forth a lot when I was stepping on them are now nice and stable, and they will get even more sturdy over time as this sand sinks in with every rainfall. And then I'll check back in periodically, and if I need to dump a little more sand in, it's not a big deal. Next on the agenda, I plan to just kind of work my way out and into this. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to because it'll be worth it. I was not looking forward to this part of the project, but it's fine. It'll be worth it. I'm going to lay these hexagonal bricks from here out to the hose after I clear all of this out, level it out, and obviously throw away a lot of this. I cleaned out all the trash and started leveling out the dirt and laid the tiles. So I ran out of these red tiles, but I had a bunch of these plain white concrete tiles out back. They were a little bit thinner, but I'm not really worried about it. This is just the path to the hose. I am going to be backfilling on either side of this pathway with dirt from out back. This dirt just has too much life in it, I think, to really be a base for compaction. So I may bring some of this back a little bit so that I can put some sandy dirt underneath it. Same with going up down here. I may end up having to put a few more rocks here so I can bring the grade up a little bit so the tiles don't slide down, because they're very wobbly. So once I build up the dirt around them, I can fill in with sand and they'll be a little bit more stable. I've got to wrap this up for the day. I got to go across town to pick up my wife. And here's what I got. I've already seen this out here. These tiles are definitely not as stable because I did pretty much no prep work underneath them. This is a lesser pathway though. It's not something that's going to see regular traffic. It should stabilize over time, just like it did over here. These are much more stable now. And of course I got to add more sand there. So I'm kind of expecting it'll be a similar situation over here. But the rocks along the edges kind of delineate the path, which is nice. This bed of aggregate, I don't know, it looked better in my mind, but I think it still is a massive improvement over what was there before. And so I'm happy with it, and I'm going to call this done.